I'll take it. Hello and welcome to the Badass University All-Stars League, our penultimate play day and our final day. We only have one game for you today because there has been a forfeit, but my name is Jerry the Music Man. I'm joined here by the wonderful McCready. How are you doing, Adam?
My mental is through the roof right now. That was a wonderful little bit of warm-up you had for us, Jerry. You basically went, okay, I'm going to rap. How long do I have? 30 seconds. I'm going to rap the entirety of the American Boy bit. So that was beautiful. That was interesting. Welcome to the land of the light and the land of the living. But that game that is coming up, the game that got forfeit was Princesses versus, I believe it was Coconut Crack. That's not going to happen like you said. We're going to have Lockdown Leaders and Chimp Hunters. They're going to be fighting over one of these playoff spots, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to be taking the playoff spot and just grabbing it and playing a big tug of war with it. That's what's happening right here. Lockdown Ludens are currently... They've got a bit more of that rope on their side. Chimp Hunters have, you know, a bit less slack. They're trying to grab it back, and this is really their last chance at it. So they're the only team besides Randy Ravens outside of the top four right now that could grab one of those spots. And it's going to be quite a haul for them to do so. They are... It's not entirely in their hands. They have to beat Lockdown Ludens today, and they also need to hope that Randy Ravens don't make a last gasp swing and just, you know, come in with a chainsaw and cut that rope in half.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, with this forfeit for the second game, well, Princesses, they pretty much guaranteed their spot. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for a team to knock them out of the top four, so... You know, they're sitting pretty comfortable. Coconut Crack. They can't qualify now with this forfeit. And like you said, only Randy Ravens and Chimp Hunters are outside of that top four spot, but can still make it in. So, well, all to play for these both of these teams. Lockdown Ludens, they want to solidify their position. They want to hold it. They want to be comfortable in this top four.
They certainly do.
Chimp Hunters don't want that, do they?
No, they don't. Chimp Hunters, they've had a kind of mixed bag of a season. Honestly, it's pretty much impossible to predict how they'll do in any given matchup because they've had 3 wins, 4 losses, and it's just, yeah, it's all over the place really for them. They could be on, they could be off, and it's just a case of which Chimp Hunters show up on the day because, you know, it's not even like they're on like a good streak or a bad streak. It's just been... consistent inconsistency, shall we say. So let's see these rosters and have a look and see if these names are familiar to us. They should be by now. We've got Proctor, Benji, Joe Bugatti, and KK. The Lockdown Ludens we know and love. As we've mentioned before, long-time members now of BUAL. They formed at the very start of Season 1, and they've stuck together, and it's clearly paid dividends for them.
Yeah, it has. Now, on the side of the Chimp Hunters, though, Atlantic from Actual Uni as well, that Benji and KK are from, well, Atlantic's coming into the fray, and he's going to be backed up by Sundownos, Where is Mo, Angelo, and Bullet. Now, Chimp Hunters, they've had that consistent inconsistency. Today, they need to make sure that they can deliver, because Lockdown Ludens, while they may not be the very top hitters in this season, they have been strong. They've been very comfortable in this kind of top rung of the leaderboard. Now, big important thing I need to mention, Jerry, that is going to impact a lot of things in this game is me and Atlantic actually share a first name.
Yeah, he's another Adam.
He is, yes.
An Atlantic Adam. He's got that alliteration going on, which
really
is quite nice.
I think I missed a trick there, Jerry, I won't lie.
Yeah, you should be Acreedy.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Ooh, that
no,
no,
don't go to casters. No, don't go to casters. We're cringing. Yeah, we'll come back to our lovely faces in a second, I suppose. But yeah, that is the sign of good branding, right? Atlantic Adam. I wonder if he thought about that when he was making his sort of moniker or not. Anyway, moniker's a completely different name. I'm losing it slowly here. This is a strange day for me. Like you said, I clearly prioritized the vocal warm up. Just before cast above, you know, simple checks like turning on my light so that I'm visible to all you people. And that is kind of a good reflection of my brain state right now, I think.
The mental warm-up took a smoke break, didn't it? But it's fine because we're going to be heading into the game. And most importantly, while we look at this, I've got to be honest, we're looking at teams going to have to battle things out. And the map bans, that's going to be deciding where exactly that's going to take place. Hopefully the teams, they've done their mental warm-up, maybe not their vocal warm-up, but probably their aim. Coastline and Console are going to be the two auto bans on the board, and, well, that makes a lot of sense. Both of these teams are very comfortable on mechanical-based maps, and Lockdown Ludens, it's been very good for them. Schley and CAF will be the next to fall, and, well, you've got Oregon, Clubhouse, and Villa. The T4 trifecta, Jerry. The question is, which part of that trifecta are we going to?
That is the question I know already, and I can tell you it is Clubhouse, Oregon, and Villa being the final bans there from Lockdown Ludens, and Chimp Hunters effectively having that choice of club. And a decent choice it is. This is a map that they have seen success on this season against the Sniper Monkeys, 7-4 that was in week 5. As far as Lockdown Ludens are concerned, I mean, you know, it's interesting that they ban out Oregon amongst that last lot. Perhaps they are just not as comfortable on it as Villa, because I'm just surprised because Villa is very rarely kind of let through over Oregon when it gets to that sort of late stage. But yeah, I'm still going to root for Lockdown Ludens here, just off the fact that it's Clubhouse. I feel like it's an even playing ground, and they've proven over time to be the better side. But yeah, like I said at the start, Chimp Hunters just unpredictable.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the very start that we actually casted ourselves, Playday 1 of Season 1. Lockdown Ludens, they made a very prominent showing of that Clubhouse. They've shown they know how to play. They know that what is expected of each of these teams. But, well, that was in a different meta. You have to give them a lot of credit. You know, that 20-second meta got taken away about halfway through Season 1. And Lockdown Ludens, they start to falter as the rest of the teams start to rise. But that's perfectly fine, because Lockdown Ludens, they've improved, they've got better, and they have proven themselves one of the stronger teams in Season 2. And they have an opportunity to further prove that, locking them down and giving themselves that playoff spot. Jumping into the game, though, Ludens, or if you're Welsh, Ludens, which a nice little tidbit for you. I'm from Cardiff Uni, I gotta do something. Going up against the Chunters, the bans, they're gonna dictate how this game's gonna play out. Whether it's gonna be fast, whether it's going to be slow, and the first operator going to be taken off the board is Habana.
Now that's interesting, because one of the most important things when it comes to Clubhouse, I always mention this in the ban phase, is whether or not Maverick gets through. He's so influential on this map in particular, and seeing Hibana get banned straight off the block means that you're either going to see Thatcher or Maverick go through the ban phase. And Hibana, sure, she's the most powerful hard-breaching operator at this point in time, but you have other alternatives. You've got Ace, the Thermite, you've got Maverick to bypass all of the pesky sort of wall denial options and give yourself a slower entrance, shall we say. And then you've got people with hard breach charges as well now. So I feel like banning out one of those three kind of pure hard breaches is always a bit soft. Thatcher and Kaid going to be banned out, meaning that you expect to see a fair amount of Maverick in play, as he's not going to be even tickled by those electro claws. He'll be easily making light work of any external walls, and there are plenty of those on Clubhouse and mirror the final ban. So yeah, besides the Maverick getting through, fairly standard ban phase, and I don't think we can linger too much on this, to be honest. It's what you kind of expect at this level.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of teams, they've kind of gone towards maybe a Thatcher Jackal ban or a Thatcher Nomad, trying to shut down this roam clear potential, because the attackers, they realize, well, if you leave Maverick on the board, well then, a lot of things start to open up for the attacking side. And, well,
literally.
Yes. Yeah, very literally. Attackers, they've kind of said, okay, it's a very defender-sided game at the moment, so Thatcher and Maverick, okay, they've got to be the bans, so that you really have to put in the teams. Essentially, you have to get the work done, and the defense is where you need to put in all that hard graft. Well, this shift, we've seen roamers taken away. Roam clear operators, they've been taken off the board, and in doing so, Jerry, simply put, a team like Chimp Hunters, they are going to go into their attack, and obviously they aren't going to have to worry about, well, they're going to have to worry about roamers, they're going to have to flank camps in the area, but they don't have to worry about these walls. They have a Maverick, they can deal with it. Now, the big issue for me is that with Habana taken off the board, you're going to be looking to stand down us to get that hatch open, and that exposes it to impact tricks. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to have to be Angelo coming. With the Cade ban, you don't have to be so reliant on the Maverick. Now, the Hibana is something I touched upon, but I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Well, Hibana does basically make this entire basement a lot harder to defend, and now understandably we can see this first defense coming through for Lockdown Ludens as they scramble to try and get Dirt Tunnel reinforced at the very start of action phase. Looks like they're just about managing it in time. Ash and Ace just a little slow to the draw there, and that might have been a funny start, but luckily for us, luckily for Ludens, they just about managed to sprint down there in time. But back to the point about Hibana, she makes this bottom floor so indefensible just by virtue of the fact that she can now disperse those pellets in pairs however she likes, and it just means that it's more of a case of when and not if those hatches get open. You can always bait out as many impact tricks as possible. Yeah. You're gonna have X-Kairos to spare. So with her off the board, the attackers, they have to be a bit more selective, a bit more deliberate about how they open those hatches, particularly the kitchen hatch, which can be a lot of the time the linchpin of any good attack. We're probably going to see a fair amount of stock placed underneath stock inside of blue, and certainly bringing the Ying, I think, is going to be a big part of that. I can imagine Atlantic wanting to get in and take control of that area in particular, perhaps with Bullet by his side. Zofia on that end of the spectrum is usually what we expect to see, and based on their current positions, I would expect to see that right now. But Soundownos getting his first Selma charge down on that hatch. It will be met with an impact, and here comes the second Gady. Once again, in position to deny that utility. Good trading there, leaves Soundownos with none in pocket as he's already opened up Dirt Tunnel. So now it will be entirely down to Angelo with his one remaining exothermic charge to get all of the hard breach work done. He's opened up stock. He's got his eyes on triple wall, which is currently not being denied at all, so that may well be the better option. But if he does go and place it there, he's got to worry about that Canadian spot. So vertical pressure from Kitchen is still important.
Yeah, I don't see them getting that kitchen hatch open. They've got stock already. They have Moto hatch, and now Sandanos is pushing to triple wall. He's going to be covering that Canadian wall. He's going to be making sure that while the drone goes through for Angelo, you can still get Angelo in. He can get up to the wall. He can open a line of sight. You have the hatches to cover, get the information. You can take that blue control. That kitchen, well, you can kind of just swap it off and say, that's not important. Sandanos, though, is about to look and find the first kill of this round. Isn't going to be able to get it, but Jobu will take some damage. The smoke canister will come out in answer, but 30 seconds are ticking down. And Ludens, they're sitting quite pretty at the moment. And opting for that Hibana ban, obviously making life so much harder. Sandanos is rotating around. Angelo will find the first kill, dropping through a hatch, and will be able to get the plant down. Sandanos able to find two, thanks to a nicely placed Claymore. And Benji's rushing down the tunnel. The M870 finds one, not Angelo, though. He's going to be sitting pretty on the diffuser, and KK stuck in a 1 versus 4. 35 seconds left, and you're in church, so it's winnable. But Chimp Hunters, with every second that ticks down KK, it's a bigger and bigger ask. The question is, do you have what it takes? Are you ready to push through? The pre-fires will go through and some damage will be taken. But at the moment, it's just not enough. Angelo gets knocked out, but there's a player on the hatch. There's a player on main. It's going to be Atlantic just to end this formality of a final kill.
And that was a great sweep there from Chimp Hunters, all things considered. An excellent take. The loss of the Hibana didn't really feel like it was felt there. They weren't even the ones to ban her out, but clearly well practiced with the Ace, with the Thermite to get all the necessary entrances made. And I've got to give a handout to Angelo and Soundownos that round. They really were the heroes, making sure that utility was perfectly placed, and each of them getting a couple of kills. I believe Soundownos got 2 and Angelo got 1 on the drop and then the plant. And that was really... Oh, in fact, no, they each got 2, yeah, correct me. I stand corrected by the scoreboard. Thank you very much, Science. So yeah, Hard Breach is doing pretty much all the work there, and very nice support from the non-support. Weird to see that.
Yeah, I'm going to say simply put, I feel that it was Chimp Hunters, the game sense, reading into it and saying, okay, well, we really don't want to worry. Let's just not worry about it. There's too much utility. We don't have enough for it. They still have impact nades. It's not going to be great. Big thing about Ludens is with this Hibana ban, even though they've just lost the bottom floor, I think their defensive side is going to be very orientated towards the basement, you know?
Yeah. You'd expect it. That's what you expect when you ban the Hibana yourself as well. They've also banned out Mirror, who sees more play on, say, gym defense than elsewhere on this map, and you can expect that, yeah, they just want to make as much use as possible of this bottom floor. They're also not opting to bring any form of wall denial, despite the fact that they've now seen how Chunters want to approach, and quite often in on attacking half on Clubhouse, you will be bringing the same 5 operators every single time, just so that you always have a solution to whatever the defenders choose to do. And now that Ludens have seen they don't want to bring a Maverick, they're still not opting to bring any form of wall denial. A single mute in this situation would be incredibly useful just to guarantee the security of things like triple wall. And right now, you know, it wasn't something that they got open last round, Chunters, but yeah, it's just limiting those options and giving Ludens that sense of security. I wonder whether that's something that they might bring in place of, say, the Legion or the Alibi, because these are kind of choice picks that they're there for the impacts, sure, but look, you've got 8 impacts on the side of Lockdown Ludens. They definitely want to keep Kitchen Hatch shut. I think that's probably their priority now.
Yeah, simply put, that's not going to happen, because at the end of the round, that's exactly what a big thing was. But something that is also big that I'm pretty sure you just noticed as we saw Proctor running below it, that blue hatch is soft.
Oh, wow.
Because that blue hatch is soft, well, Chunters, they have an opportunity to push in. This might be a calculated move by Ludens, but, well, you look at the pathing, it might just be that time restraint. We've seen them struggle to get that dirt tunnel before.
And without the Kaid or anything to deny it, it's almost an inevitability. If the attackers want it open, they will get it open, but at the same time, banning the Hibana does suck that hard reach utility out of your attackers, and I feel like they might want to lean into that a little bit more and make sure that they do just ensure that the attackers have to make a choice rather than expending a soft breach patch on it. Yeah. Proctor's going to find that opening frag and then deliver a nice little Pokeball to that hatch. So great work on both the fragging and utility from the Melusi, getting off to the races with her own performance. And now, about a minute left. You've only got 4 attackers left against the 5. This is a difficult situation that we know quite well. The attackers are definitely up against the caution.
Yeah, a much stronger round for the Ludens. They found the opening kill, and they're all still alive for this last 45 seconds. And while they didn't get that blue hatch reinforced, that's not a big issue. Chimp Hunters haven't really bothered about it. Atlantic, though, a lot of potential to really catch them off guard. We'll shoot through that barricade, though, and while you give Ludens another angle to look at and to be careful about, well, you put yourself in a very difficult position. Right now, holding that dirt, you need to wait for the rest of the push to come through, and, well, Ludens with the player advantage, they're going to make sure it's very, very difficult. Sandanos will move over towards that moto area. Atlantic able to catch Gady sleeping, but it's Yobi with a refrag that's going to make sure that's not an issue at all. Another impact trick will come down. Bullet will get down as well. Angelo Proctor cleaning up, and it's Benji with the M87. They need to find Sandanos.
Now, that was what they wanted in the first instance. That was clearly the plan. Just hold firm, rely on that utility that's so useful on site. The goo mines, the banshees, all of it. The ADS is to soak up anything that clears those, and just rely on your anchor play. It was last round, Lockdown Ludens, they actually did a very good job of just staying alive in their little hunker bunker and making sure that the execute came against them 5 versus 5. It was a very strong push from Chunters that overcame it, but that is against the norm for sites like this, and for 5v5s in general. Usually that's defender favored, so absolutely the right call to just stick to their guns, stick to the strategy, go down there again. They get the benefit of that early pick from Proctor, and from that point on, it's always going to be an uphill battle for for Chunters, sorry. So, yeah, Chimp Hunters now tied up at 1-1 against Lockdown Ludens, and we're going to this top floor with Benji flexing onto that Bandit. Now, I'm a little bit puzzled by this because, as mentioned earlier, you've got that Maverick available. And then I'm also puzzled by the lack of a Maverick being brought out by Chimp Hunters. They know that Lockdown Ludens have to go to the top floor here, having just won a defense of the basement. And they're making it harder for themselves, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a game yesterday where that was the case. We saw a Maverick just not being brought, and, well, it had a huge impact. And I looked at it, and Whippet looked at it, and we said, well, that round was so much easier with a Maverick on that play. I think this is a very similar situation. You know, you get the utility very quickly, you make sure that bottom line's done so you can't get somebody up. You can't get that bandit trick off. Right now, Benji's going to be uncontested with the utility on the wall. You're going to have to go to CC window. You're going to have to burn utility with ADSs, with that magnet. It's a lot more difficult for the hackers. Proctor's going to be bringing in for the first time that 416 on Jaeger, and, well, that makes quite a bit of sense. We've seen Ludens so far enjoy the M870. Now, they'll be bringing something a little bit more normal. So
you can just about get away with it on the basement, where there's a few kind of like close angles you can hold. You're thinking dirt tunnel, you're thinking moto, but on the top floor, you're very likely to be taking quite long-range battles, and you're just going to have to contend with the new carbine recoil. It's a shame, but I'm sure they'll get used to it over time. Proctor is just lurking on that bottom floor, though, so he's still doing the job of Aroma. Benji almost supporting him from directly above. It looks like they just want to get some intel on attackers that might want to clear this lounge and bar area and then begin a pinch of some description. But they're biding their time because Chimp Hunters, so far, they're just droning. They're doing due diligence, making sure the ground they want to take is free, and it looks like the ground they want to take is that middle floor. So the question is, will Lockdown Ludens collapse on them with enough, well, lethality or not?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good question to ask, and Sandanos is going to be able to use these Selma charges to a lot stronger effect than we've seen so far, let's be honest. You're seeing the impact nades really being just a punishment for the attackers. Now, utility down below is going to start opening up, but with a take like this, you'd expect that breach to be open a lot quicker. Maybe Chimp Hunters, they're starting to stall out. They're worried about this roam clear from Ludens. Don't get me wrong. Atlantic tries to Candela, will be able to do it now and can jump in. That's two that don't...
Yeah, that's two whiffs. Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, that's a shame. But still, Benji playing in construction realizes someone's there. W and KK, though, then we're going to make sure you're not that important. Angelo is in the default position, but Gady's on rafters. KK's nearby. The rafters player will fall. But Ludens, they still have a death grip on this site. Proctor's just gonna tighten the grip a little bit more, finding Sandanos on the refrag. And now Angelo and Bullet. 2 versus 4 with 30 seconds on the clock. Plan's gonna start coming through, and the smoke canister will follow. The drop from the bandit. Benji is gonna look to get the C4 off. Bullet's gonna TK. Benji's gonna TK. Bullet's gonna try and get the kill on the run out, but Proctor finds it. I don't know what happened, but Ludens pick up a round to put them 2-1.
Utter chaos at the end of that round. Somehow working out in favour of Lockdown Ludens. They did have that 4 versus 2. It was good of the Thermite to manage to get that plant down. And the cover from the Zofia was questionable, shall we say. But the C4 also late, meaning that whoever tried to push in and I guess knife the planter got killed. And then it ends with a crazy skirmish where both players whiff all their shots outside. And it becomes a pistol battle on Rappel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Siege is a beautiful game sometimes, but that is not one of those. That was
ugly.
That was ugly, yeah.
The ugly duckling, I think.
It was like that was the Sunday League equivalent of Siege right there. You know those Sunday League videos of football where you see like 5 people getting like slide tackled and then like shots hitting the crossbar and then people falling over. There's some brilliant videos out there of Sunday League football just in all its glory. And that was that. That was exactly that.
You just watch videos of Sunday League.
No, it came up on my Twitter feed a while ago, and I was just like, this is brilliant. This is Britain.
Yeah, to be honest. And well, you're looking at the Siege equivalent, like you said. We saw Ludens. Well, honestly, I'm not even going to be that mad. It was Bullet putting the bullet all the way in Angelo that was the biggest issue, because, well, Benji at the call the plant was going down and responded accordingly, you know. Even if a player's there, even if KK's there, you want to deal with it. You had a double peek, essentially. You had the swing of the smoke, or the swing of the mute, sorry, and you had the C4 down below, and then you went for the kill. The C4 goes up, the team kill comes out, and you're left with nothing but a team kill. But think, if Bullet didn't kill Angelo, That's a team kill, and the planter gone. It's all down to the roamer, and essentially the team kill wasn't a bad circumstance for the Ludens. Sorry, Chimpunters. It was a little bit worse for. Let's be honest.
It was. It just didn't go to plan at all, and I can't even remember much about what happened in the early round there. But at a certain point, it got down to 4 versus 2, and Angelo's just stuck there thinking, I've got to do something amazing here. And he must have been so sad that he got killed. And that sadness will revisit him as Proctor just holds the long angle through that construction wall and takes the head off the sledge. There's a lot of operator shuffling going on the side of Chunters now. They seem happy on every single roll. And speaking of shuffling, this Benji is doing a little do-si-do, trying to keep that wall tight shut, but he will be stunned out of existence, and the wall will fall. Soundanos takes down Benji after finding himself deep inside sight, and KK will respond to punish that early aggression from the Ash. Gady, though, being felled inside of sight and needing to be res is important, but KK just holding the fort and making sure that it is their swamp. No one is getting inside. Bullet and Atlantic, those two hard breachers, they are left with a difficult task in their hands. 4 versus 1 now as Jobu fells Bullet, and it's all falling apart very quickly. Just over half the round elapsed, and Atlantic's in a 1 versus 4. He hasn't got any drones in pocket. Tries to land the shots on Proctor, who started it all. Impacts flying in his direction. Now he's got to worry about potential crossfires, and any attempt to try and walk into that room will be met with a hail of bullets from every direction. Decides to Claymore off his flank, and he's got every opportunity to win this. He has time on his side. He just needs to hit his shots and take them one by one. Proctor is first on the chopping block, but so far he's been more successful. He's got the pistol out now. No time to reload. It doesn't matter because just the one tap to that injured ace is enough to secure the round. Lockdown Ludens now pushing well ahead, 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, you said possible crossfires, but it was definite crossfires. The big thing for me on that gym bedroom site, Ludens, which I am gonna call them. You're not gonna stop me, Jerry. It's gonna happen.
I do like it.
Ludens, that was a big issue. That was the fact Sandanos dropped in Logi Hatch, crouch walked through that safe wall, and was in sight. Found a down onto a player. Now, obviously, yes, it was refragged, but the bigger picture is something that needs to come into play. Because, simply put, there's nobody playing in Logi. Now, you had somebody bandit tricking, you had somebody on the main wall, you had a player in master bedroom and a player in cash. That's fine. But if you lose that Logi, suddenly Proctor's cut off. You don't have that control. Their construction areas of rotate back is taken away. It still went very, very well for Ludens, but there was potential for Chimpunters to really take control. I think Sandanos just went in, was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and make something. If you've got the breach open, I'm going to turn their heads as soon as I get the kill you act. Found a kill, pushed through, and died immediately.
It's a shame he didn't have a bit more patience, right? Because that was a really nice entry from it. To give him credit, I think he got a kill and a down. So it was almost the exact kind of initiator you need, but the timing just wasn't there from the rest of Chunters. You saw that, well, at the end of it, that 1 versus 4, we had one sort of solo pushing from Cash, and then a couple trying to trickle in through the jacuzzi breach. It just wasn't a concerted enough effort, and like you said, Logi is such a power position that you send a couple people in there, you've got a really good stranglehold on a lot of important positions. Suddenly, the defenders, they can't anchor up inside of construction, they can't anchor up top of a main reliably, there's no chance of staying in bedrooms, so it makes it incredibly difficult to defend against something just as simple as a gym plan. And yeah, the timing, just a little bit off from Chunters. They're going to be a bit disappointed because that is the tertiary site now, 1 for Lockdown Ludens, and they won't have another opportunity to go there again.
Now, Soundanos, if you've ever been interested in watching an entry fragger speedrun, this is it. We're seeing Benji with the M870 again, and that's because, well, like you said, down in dirt, it's one of those angles where this shotgun can really shut things down. That means your smoke can focus on sight a lot easier, and if a rush comes through, you could deal with it. And Benji, he's going to be showing exactly why the M870 is painful. There's a kill onto Mo, and now you play safe. You wait for the attempt to refrag, and Chunters, they got to go into a kill box. Benji, realizing this, just pulls back because the calls are being made. They're in kitchen. There's a Maestro camera. It's not being dealt with. Suddenly, it makes you think, well, if there are C4s on the board, there's potential. There aren't. There's no kill from that for Ludens, but still. kitchen control, you've taken a player on dirt, you've rebarricaded it off, they're not going to go there. Proctor's going to make sure that Sandanos isn't going to be pushing blue, finding that kill, and taking away the tip of the Chunter's spear. Right now, they're looking very, very uncomfortable. But don't forget, this is the site that they've won a round on, Joe.
It certainly is, and the only problem is it's also a site that Ludens have won a round on. So, by odds, it's Chunter's best site. I know we're talking about very small sample size here, but they do have an opportunity here to try and seal it. Benji, though, is going to have words about that because Atlantic falls, and now this is looking dire. 2 versus 5, and increasingly Chimp Hunters are falling piece by piece when it comes to these basement attacks, and it looks as though Lockdown Ludens, well, they've got a full lock on the basement now. It's been really difficult for them. I think it's going to be very little sort of compensation for Ludens, knowing that these have been very swift and painless deaths. You know, the shotgun shell to the face that in dirt that started it all off. I don't think Mo would have felt that, but it doesn't matter because this is a simulation, and the player behind the screen, he will have felt it. So, yeah, Angelo,
you okay there, buddy?
Yeah, I am. I just think
that
I'm being a bit. I just have empathy for Sophia, you know, and for the whole of Chimp Hunters right now because they've just been dealt a flawless win by Lockdown Ludens. How? Oh my god, I'm just sad. I feel sad for Chimp Hunters. That was an absolute decimation.
Yeah, it really was. You had one player pushing down dirt, meets the M870. You have Sandanos trying to do something. I think for Chunters, Sandanos has been a player that's really had that energy, really had that drive to start pushing through, start finding something. And we're at the point, Jerry, where it's very worrying that Sandanos is that impact player, and it's not translating at all. Chunters, they're showing the sides of... They're showing which side of Chimp Hunters we're seeing today, and it needs to change very soon if there is any hope at not solidifying those playoff spots. Like our observer, wonderful observer, by the way, Science just said, you know, if Ludens win this, it pretty much confirms the top 4 for playoffs. Like concrete, it will be set, it will be immovable. Right now, it's still wet, it's malleable.
It's
but Ludens...
kind of...
They're well on their way. It's like paper mache.
It will be like it'll be like custard in a box, right? The box will be set, but the pieces or the custard within the box can move around, right? Because playoffs, it's still important to get good seeding in it, and those 4 teams, they can still fight for like which combination of 1 to 4 they end up with. But yeah, beyond that, it's you know, a bit of a meaningless endeavor for anyone else. And Randy Ravens right now, they're going to be watching this and ruining the fact that they lost yesterday to, I believe it was Imperium of Manden, because that may well have just put this completely out of their hands. They're going to be rooting for Chimp Hunters right now. Chimp Hunters hold the last hopes of not just their own, but also Randy Ravens and Lockdown Ludens. They want to lock it up.
Yeah, they want to lock down, and keep that position open. Whereas Lockdown Ludens, they want to do exactly that. They want to lock in the top 4 playoffs, because that means you can't be knocked out. Now, Chimp Hunters, yet again, they're going to be moving in early, but they're going to, yet again, lose that opening player. Jaeger 416C, it's just going to, remove the head of Atlantic. Benji and Proctor, they've been swapping around. You notice Chimp Hunters have been swapping their operators quite a bit, but they're starting to find a groove. Whereas now, Ludens, they're doing a similar thing. They're all feeling it. Their mechanics is all there. Gady, yeah, I don't think it's Gady not having a good game. I think it's Gady not having a chance to get a good game. Sandanos will have a yellow pick from here, though, and will have an opportunity to make an impact. Finds Proctor, but the refrag's there from Gady. Going to find his first kill. That's exactly what I mean. Ludens, they're looking strong and they're looking comfortable. They know what Chunters are doing, and they know how to deal with it. Minute 15 on the clock, and we're only just about to see this breach get opened. There are rumors that there's players not on the breach, there's players not in the power positions you need for the attackers. No Rafters presence, no lounge presence, bar Mo, who is pulling back to drop this diffuser.
He needs to get into a position where he can, in fact, sorry, I'm going to correct myself. He's already used both of his impact lifelines, so it's actually on Angelo with those frags in hand to try and remove the bandit batteries from beneath. Mo just serving as a first point of entry to protect the valuable Yana, but this angle that ended, I believe it was Soundownos down in Lounge, is certainly dangerous, and it's a position that they need to take care of. Angelo now dead means that that breach will stay intact, and now Mo and Bullet, they have a really difficult task trying to surmount this fortress that the cache and CCTV rooms have become. Mo looking to get a peek onto the player in rafters, but it's not going to be going his way as Yobi takes out Bullet. That's Thermite dead, and now Mo left in a 1 versus 4. We've seen this time and time again in this half for Chimp Hunters, and it might be ending the same way it's always gone for them. Just odds stacked against them in an almost unwinnable situation with 30 seconds left. I have faith that Mo can try and pull it through. Maybe he'll get himself off the bottom at least. I really hope he does, but he's being locked out at every opportunity now. They're not giving him an inch. The smoke canisters at the bottom of red tell you just that. They're saying, go and fight the player on rafters, and KK, he gets bored, he comes down, he puts Mo out of his misery. Lockdown Ludens, they secure that first half with a brilliant 5-1 split, and they are firmly in control of this matchup.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way we can really describe it. I mean, we're looking at Chimp Hunters, their utility usage is not really optimized. You're seeing Sandanos leading the charge, constantly wanting to have that impact, but nothing's translating. The rest of the team, I mean, think about a spear, right? You're putting a spear in, you're poking somebody, but then the actual, like, the spear itself, not the tip, the whole spear just snaps in half. That's what it kind of feels like. The first piece of resistance, Hunters are starting to fall apart. A big thing is their utility usage. It's not in the right place at the right time. Like you said, it was all down to Mo with the Zephyr charges to get the breach open. But then it was gone. So you had to enter, you had to try and do something. You had to give somebody that cover. And it was Angelo, I do believe, on Yana. Well, that wasn't the case. That didn't happen. The frag grenades weren't used. The breach stayed closed, and then it just came down to Schludens. They were prepared. They had the smoke canister going off. They had an angle for the places that weren't smoked, and then they had KK on the run. They just had players ready. They knew what they wanted to achieve, and, well, they're 1 round away from match point, Jerry.
Yeah, and their mascot may be a turtle, but they're blistering toward this victory. An incredible speed, and now only 2 attack rounds away from managing to secure their spot in the playoffs. The hype is there for me, but it just feels like right now, like I was expecting it to be like a dramatic dash across the finish line, but they're making it look easy here. So, Junters, turn around, give us some defensive rounds at the very least, just to make this exciting, and then, maybe you get a few under your belt, and you can think, hey, perhaps we can turn this around. Atlantic is looking to take matters into his own hands, which they absolutely need to do. He's on the roam as that Vigil. It's going to be very difficult to pin down. But it looks like Lockdown Ludens, they don't want to have anything to do with that. They're focusing their efforts solely on Garage and servers. So that roam, it might be fairly ineffective. He may have to get outside the building, go for some cheeky runouts and peeks, or just fall back to side and assist his team there. Right now, this Maverick finally being employed by Lockdown Ludens. We didn't see it at all on the side of Chimp Hunters when they were attacking. Just bypassing all of that utility. The Bandit Battery is now useless, and the Exothermic Charge will make light work of the wall. Not a minute pass, and they've gotten this wall open. Chimp Hunters, take note.
Yeah, the first round we're seeing a Maverick, and they're noticing the impact already. The breach already open. 2 minutes still on the clock, and Lockdown Ludens very, very comfortable. Chimp Hunters, they have a very extended roam over towards Master and Jim, which students will need to be aware of, but if you can take out this Rafters, you get a player over towards it, you have a player on the breach, you're starting to pick apart this defense already. Bullet is playing in this position and has the Banshee to protect. The drone's coming through. They know where you are, the crossfire can come through. Proctor's going to be able to find Angelo on that roam. But it's the smokes. That's not actually on a roam. I'm mistaken. Proctor finding a second. Well, the third. Gets Sandanos as well. Your observer probably didn't expect that kill, so you can't blame him to not see it. I didn't expect it. And right now, it's a 2 versus 5 with Chunters wanting to stave off seemingly the inevitable. Atlantic's going to start things off with a kill onto Gady, but you need to find 4 more. The plant's starting to go down. No C4 to deny it, and the air jabs are being placed. Benji's going to find Atlantic. It's all down to Mo, and Benji just says no. Huge round from Benji and Proctor.
Proctor has been insane, and props to Benji for locking it out with that hold on the plant. A very smart location to plant close to that wall and just remove the possibility of any sort of denial towards default, because in that type situation, you're going to nuke default with the nades, with the C4s, whatever you have. And yeah, it's always a good play as a Thermite, as your case carrier, just to stick it in a slightly unorthodox location and remove that possibility. But yeah, Proctor. I mean, we've been sort of tiptoeing around it just because of how quickly it's come about, but he's had an insane game. He's had a fantastic season altogether, and he's been one of Lockdown Luden's shining stars for the longest time. But right now, I believe he's on something like 12-3, and that is outstanding. So yeah, just big props to Proctor right now.
Yeah, and reservations to Chimp Hunters, it feels, might be a little bit early. But right now,
12-2.
Chimp Hunters have got to play a perfect game. And yes, Proctor's 12-2, but a big thing I want to point out for Chimp Hunters, which makes me very, very pessimistic about their chances, is Bullet and Mo have yet to find a kill.
So, you know what I've just realised?
Yeah.
Is that with that round, Lockdown Ludens have secured it. Just
Really?
by virtue of maths, they have guaranteed at least an OT loss, at least 1 point, which means that Chimp Hunters can't get their OT. They can't get their 6 points from the next two playdays. They can only get 5, which means they can't overtake. And barring Randy Ravens beating Lockdown Ludens, which they didn't, that means that Lockdown Ludens do have that spot. So it was even more cut and dry than we thought. They've actually already secured that spot. So congratulations, I suppose. And now this is your victory lap. Secure this last round and get some, celebration popping.
This is going to be the heartbreaking moment where Chimp Hunters just flip a switch and become absolute animals. Empire, they've just beat out BDS, and, well, they must be booting up the team viewer. Chimp Hunters, they're going about things, and they've got a roam. They're looking to really just distract Lockdown Ludens. I feel like that's something that can really benefit them. As long as Gady isn't allowed to maverick this wall, Job is waiting. Gady is as well. They're just chilling. They're getting the breach open. And there it is. That's exactly it. The breach is open. The Raptors player is suddenly cut off, which is why there isn't one. Actually, there is.
Almost there is, was it? Yeah.
Yes.
Almost exactly the same as last round, in fact, in terms of timing. And Proctor getting the opening pick onto Mo. Once again, Proctor with the opening pick. Atlantic at least finding Benji in response and keeping the tide even. But Benji, Bullet rather, he's been somewhat ineffective this game. He felt like he probably didn't do enough, or I feel like he didn't do enough on Gratis last time to stay alive. But Gady nading Jobu is going to give Chimp Hunters perhaps a little second of relief in this round. An unfortunate error there costing Lockdown Ludens their their Thermite. And now this is going to be tough. If Bullet can just hold this position, then Lockdown Ludens may be completely locked out of this round, and they may have to have a slightly delayed victory lap.
Yes, right now the Gemini is going to be going through Garage. That means Proctor's going to be rather comfortable about moving into that bottom area. Still needs to worry about Bullet, which is why the drone is going through. Ludens now, in this 3 versus 4, they've got to play it tight and they've got to play it together. They need the Rafters control before they move forward, so Proctor needs to find a kill. Spots a little pixel, lands a little bit of damage, but doesn't get the killing blow. That's exactly what you need right now. A quick peek could end everything, but the drone is still coming through. Bullet's not going to shoot it down, so the pre-fire is going to be there. It's not going to land. It's cat and mouse, it feels, with these bullets landing things, and the players on the breach are getting a crossfire.
There we go.
Bullet will go down. Rafters will be opened up, and the push soon to follow. Proctor able to find that kill. You need to see the roamers right back on site as Angelo, behind the shield, is ready to shut down the push. Frag grenade will go through, another smoke canister follows, but the ADS will catch it out of the air. And 13 seconds left. KK wants to push in, realizes he has to push in, and is going to do exactly that. Looks for the kill onto Angelo. Can't find it. Proctor's going to be filling in the gap of this attacking lineup. Gonna move forward, finding 1 kill. Angelo getting a second, and you said it, Jerry. We're gonna have another round for that victory lap.
We certainly are, but it's just an opportunity for Proctor to pad his stats at this point in time. Despite losing that round, collecting 3 kills for himself, and now I believe he's up to 15 or 16 or something like that. Big numbers go up. That is what he wants, and perhaps this is the plan for Lockdown Ludens all along. Just prolong the inevitable and let Proctor break that kill record set by Max on the very first day. He's got to get 26. That is the bar. I'm skeptical. I don't think that is exactly what Lockdown's Ludens are doing. I'm being facetious. But certainly that self-nade or that team kill nade had an impact on the round. Sometimes rounds are just defined by a single moment, and unfortunately in that one, it was a blunder from Lockdown Ludens, if you ask me.
Yeah. Now, going back to the kill record, just very quickly, we actually saw a player nearly beat it out. I believe that was Dumfries in... You're not going to actually believe me when I say this, Jerry.
Was this yesterday?
Yes, this was the Sniper Monkeys and Minutemen.
Ah, yes.
Minutemen got their first point, and we saw Dumfries go 21 and 10. And it was entirely possible to break the kill record set by Max T. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
ISO decided to shut them down. Well, that's a shame. Proctor, I don't think the Ludens are trying to shut it down. They're not trying to get that kill record. They just want to win. They want to lock everything down because, while Proctor's having an incredible game, you can't take it away. The more you give, the more breathing room Chunters have, the more opportunity they have, the more possibilities. They're going to start picking rounds, getting the momentum, maybe pushing it to overtime. Now, it's a very big ask, but it's possible if Ludens let them. This is the big thing, though. We're back in Jim Beji. Last time we were here, we saw Sandaunos of Chunters being able to drop down Logi. That's not going to happen this time. The Ludens, I want to see them go for a normal, standard. You're not going to get away with it. And they know it, simply put.
They do. And right now, I'm looking at Cash because that is MI5 right now. You've got not just 007, but 008 sitting in there. And they're hoping to get a couple of kills this round. If they manage that, then they'll have done good. And I really, really hope they do, because as much as I like to dish out the dirty smack, I want to see them succeed. So, come on, guys. I'm rooting for you. I want to see you get some kills here. Bullet and Mo, they've just had a bit of a rough game, shall we say. So, yeah. Can they do it? We've got... He's trying to slice the... this is the thing. He's always up against Proctor. And that's just unfortunate. This is the jewel that keeps coming through for Bullet, is that he has to face down this guy who's absolutely on fire at the moment. Nade sails in, does take a chunk out of Mo, but it won't gain any kills. And the support is coming through. We can see Benji now destroying that small construction wall, trying to make another entryway, forcing Mo back in. And they've just basically cut a line across the middle of the map here. Proctor is forcing these two extended players away from the site to not be able to retreat. There's no escape for them right now. If Lockdown Ludens decide, hey, that's enough, we can execute like 4 versus 3 onto the jacuzzi wall, then that might be a way through, because right now they're sort of stalling out.
Now, this is exactly what we're talking about with construction, what you said. This is what we said about the importance of Logi. As long as you have construction control, you can really pinch these players. Now, the Selma charge is going on that wall, on that castle barricade.
It destroyed the drone.
It destroyed a drone. That's a shame. But Angela is going to make sure Gady is having a bit of a shame as well. Will be taken away by those stairs. And while Benji's able to find a refrag onto Atlantic, what a shot! What a pre-fire! Beautiful. Ludens will be running through, and that's going to be Proctor actually running in himself. Mo's able to find 2 kills, put himself on the board, and get taken away in a trade. And Bullet's still alive in Cash. Benji and Giobu. 2 versus 3. It's got potential. Benji definitely not afraid to lead a charge. But time is ticking down. The Banshee's going to go off. They know where you are. Angelo's going to find 1 kill onto Giobu. Benji, you're going to have to get the Kagia. Find that diffuser. Find a kill. But there's no time, Jerry. There simply isn't. Chunters stay alive another round.
Incredible there. Mo Cash, Mo problems for Lockdown Ludens. They couldn't force the castle and the Melusi out of Cash itself. And, well, while Bullet still sits on that 007, he survived the round, so his cost is going up. And that is important in this situation. Great little double kill there from Mo, basically leaving Ludens with so few pieces on the board come that final execute. And it was going to take some heroics from the sledge at the end there to take anything out of that round. Met with castle barricades, met with reinforced walls, stranded from diffuser, and with no hope in hell. So, a gym defense sees Chunters through to round number 10. And I did not see that coming, quite honestly.
No.
That is something that was not on the script. They're finally going to go down to Church Arsenal with the Hibana off the board. We've spoken already about the strength of this basement. And they're opting to bring the Pulse. So expect to see Soundownos lurking in Armory, in that spot we lovingly know as Canadian, popularizing that spot, especially with this operator. He's so useful at reading into the directionality of that push and trying to land some cheeky C4s. We saw a slightly more passive style of defense from Ludens when they were here, landing as many impact nades as possible onto that hatch to deny the breach. And right here, it looks like Chunters are going for the more lethal approach. They got a couple of C-Thors. They still do have those impacts, so they want to keep those attackers lingering inside a kitchen. But if you're not getting at least one C4 kill in this round, then that's potentially wasted utility.
Simply put, Jerry, the approach for Ludens that I'd expect to see, of Ludens, is they go in, they start the vertical play, then they get the hatch with the ace. Because simply put, you're looking at the Chunters defense, they can impact trick, and they can also use the ace charge. You know, then they could use the C4s. Realistically, you got to get the vertical play. You got to shut down the freedom that Pulse has to give the information, to give those C4 kills. And then, that's when you put those Ace Selma charges down. If you can shut down an impact trick, you can actually give yourself an entryway onto site. Jobu's going to be joining down into that dirt tunnel. Soundownos notices a player isn't going to be able to do anything about it, realizing that, and just keeps moving around, you know. Ludens, they're taking it slow and they're taking it careful. They're realizing with a Pulse, there's a lot of big issues that can approach, and Proctor, I think, is a very nice way to clear this out. You know, you've got the Gemini, you've got it on a player that really can step up. And most importantly, this is just renewable drones. This is renewable droning, and it's very sustainable. You know, I think a lot of people should take notes off of this. Scientists, governments. I'm gonna say it, Jake. I think renewable energy is the way. Up.
Yeah.
I'm a
I'm
controversial man, I know, but still.
I'm looking forward to the day they introduce a solar-powered operator.
Isn't that, when you think about Yana being on the moon, probably would be.
It's a lunar-powered operator, I
Big
guess.
thing is the amount of utility she's just spotted out. Not only a mute jammer, but a Banshee and a pre-play C4. Proctor realizes, sprint down those stairs, that C4 was coming. And thus, Angelo's C4 will not be detonated on time. Proctor will be able to walk down and stays alive, most importantly, for the latter half of this round.
But now, finds himself in a position where it's very unlikely he'll be able to safely leverage that Yana drone, but it is on cooldown. He can send in some information for perhaps a Moto drop, but speaking of which, we actually have blue presence now. Benji, having already cleared this is huge for Lockdown Luden's approach. They've suffocated the remaining defenders into particular locations, but Gady is not good against the rat backed into a corner such as Mo, who gets another kill in a succession of rounds, and Angelo tags on, Bullet with another. It's all falling to pieces here for Lockdown Ludens, despite that blue presence, which wasn't enough. They're being chewed apart. Now it's up to Proctor and Giobu. You've got the hard breach by the side of Proctor. Jobu having already spent both of those exothermic charges, but we know that this man can frag. Can he do it against 5 safe defenders, though? That is a difficult question to answer. And, well, if I was a betting man, I would say probably not. But anything is possible. With 20 seconds left, staring down main, just waiting for a bit of aggression to come their way. They want a pick before they go in, but time is slowly ticking, and the Chunters are just not giving enough for Ludens to get a bite on. Jobu as well, fishing from the right. We're sitting just watching this. Proctor attempting to pick up some kills, but that is it. There's absolutely no way they can win this round anymore. Attempting to save KD, padding the stats a little bit more. And Chunters, they keep on rolling. We have seen now 3 rounds in a row from them. It was 6-1. Now it's 6-4.
Ludens, fish in a barrel was the strat they were going for at the very end there, realizing there wasn't anything they could do, but there was one problem, Jerry. The fish decided not to show up, meaning Ludens, they weren't even able to find one kill. They were just sat down there baiting out peaks, waiting for something, like you said, just a bite, a nibble, anything. That just didn't come through. So now, like you said, Chunters, they're going to be going back up the CCTV cache. This is where they really made an impact in the round, and they simply said, we're going to win it. And it makes you wonder, Ludens, are they starting to stall out? Do they know that by securing at least overtime, you're able to get that playoff spot and you don't have to worry about anything? Maybe because apparently they just don't want to have that finishing power. They don't want to close things down. CCTV cache This is a site for Chunters that you really, really bet on them to win at the start. A lot of things went right last time, but a lot of things went wrong. That was the late round.
Yeah, so they're going to need a better late round right now, Lockdown Ludens. Then, well, can't rely purely on Proctor fragging out of his mind, because since that last cash attack, he hasn't got a single thing, and that might spell a little bit of a sort of, what's the opposite of hope? Not demise. I think worry is the word I'm looking for. They're worried right now. They're playing a little bit scared. Apprehension. Fantastic word. Excellent. Thank you, my human thesaurus, Adam.
Do I get a gold star? Do I get a gold star? I feel like I'm in a class again, Jerry.
You get a merit.
Oh, yes! It's not a distinction, though, so I'll have to do better next time. Anyway, they want to operate with distinction, but Chunters, they've been marking quite harshly, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been getting D's, E's. It's not looking great for them, and at the moment, they're on an upsurge. They've been revising. They've been doing their homework, and so far it means that Lockdown Ludens, well, they haven't collected a kill, or round rather, in 3, and that is from KK and Co. Once again, very efficiently getting this wall open. Jobu has been so reliable alongside the Maverick of Gady at making sure that this breach is opened. It's not always translated into round wins, but they've had good luck as well removing Bullet from these rafters. He has since managed to find his first kill, which is fantastic. Great to see everyone now in the lobby off the bottom of that leaderboard, and he's under a lot of pressure because Lockdown users, they understand how important it is to take rafters control. They almost had it, but Sandanos is there to strike back and find Benji before they can consider going up those stairs. And now Sandanos dropping down into Oil Pit to try and force out this engagement, make sure that it's impossible for anyone to get up there. This is so huge. I don't even think that Lockdown Ludens are aware of this. The C4 gets ripped. He must hear it. It just sails perfectly onto the head of Proctor. And that is a big threat removed. Incredible stuff from Soundanos to keep hold of this super important piece of ground. That Banshee is going to warn anyone on the defensive side to the presence of someone on rafters. You've probably got Angelo standing on top of that desk. No one is in cash holding the long angle. But either way, Lockdown Ludens, they're going to think twice before they're going up rafters anytime soon.
Yes, now Chunters, they've realized that, well, Ludens, they really struggled when it came to capitalizing upon this rafters control that they had. They decided to just nip it in the bud. They found that kill onto Benji, then Proctor got taken away with the C4, and right now, Ludens, yet again, they're in a 3 versus 4. Time is ticking down. They're gonna have to push through. Soundanos is gonna make sure it's even harder. Finding a third kill, Giobu will get a refrag, but you still got that one-player advantage. Ludens stalling out and pushing in. Mo's able to find the defuse of Jobu. Gady goes to the swing.
Oh, no!
Oh, it doesn't land, and Mo shuts them down, and Chunters close down the round differential to 1, Jerry.
Mo money.
The momentum they started with, completely gone. And Ludens, well, they're just trying to save off overtime at this point. Chunters, we talked about consistently inconsistent, and that's your point, so I'm gonna let you have it.
Well, yeah, this is it, basically. I think that what we're witnessing as well, maybe here, is a complete mirror of that first half. We saw Chimp Hunters grab the first round of the entire map, and then Lockdown Ludens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, collecting those defensive rounds very quickly. And now we're seeing the exact same thing. Lockdown Ludens pushed it on to 6-1. And now 4 rounds in a row from Chimp Hunters. Can they make it 5? Can they push it to overtime? It may be meaningless at this point, unfortunately for them and for Lockdown Ludens, thankfully, who have already secured their spot just by virtue of maths. The power of maths. But this is for glory right now. Chimp Hunters, they've had a rough season, you know, up and down. Never truly convincing. But if they can add Lockdown Ludens to their collection of scalps, then that's a win. That's an overall win on the season. They're going to be very happy with themselves. Lockdown Ludens, as an established roster, have proven themselves to be very strong, and they're being taken down a peg or two here, I think. Okay, before I move on, I have a question for you, McGreedy. Are the Chimp Hunters chimps that hunt, or hunters of chimps?
I say because the grammar makes you think, okay, they hunt chimps, but the logo makes you think otherwise. So
Yeah.
based on the logo, I'm gonna go with the chimps that hunt. So it's kind of like it's a description, not like who they hunt.
Yeah, that was my logic, because otherwise it would be, you know,
Why
surprising
not
that they get
both?
wins against any teams other than I don't know, chimps.
All
And
right.
right now they look like they might actually turn this around and get a win against some tortoises. So yeah, they are chimps who hunt, and apparently
Right.
chimps hunt amphibians.
Okay, so moving on, we're looking at Ludens. They're taking a much more measured approach. They're trying to deal with Bullet. They're not putting Proctor on that gym window. The utility, it's being committed, and it's gonna be Proctor finding Bullet. That little duel you've been talking about every single round for the first couple, at least, of this half. Well, that's gonna be making its face again, and it's gonna be Bullet falling yet again. 1 and 9 at the moment, but you have got Mo waiting, ready for a jump out. Will get drawn out, so says, nah, we're not even gonna risk it. Pulls back, and Gady realizes construction is now open. But Logi isn't. I've talked a lot about it, but you're about to see why it's important right now. Atlantic has footholds and can cover both Master and Construction from this position. No pressure from that hatch means Atlantic, he's gonna have a very, very comfortable time. He's gonna be representing the Atoms and simply saying, well, this is the moment. The drone will come through, but you've just got to play passive. You don't have to get aggressive for them to know that you're there and to know that they need to deal with you. That's what's going to be
Atlantic Adam.
Atlantic Adam, yeah.
Sorry. Oh, I was going to say he's proving an oceanic presence, but Proctor is going to stem that tide and remove him from the game. Benji removing Mo as well. Such an influential player of the past few rounds. Angelo now needs to step up. He starts with a kill. Sandalnos falls. It's a 1 versus 4. Angelo goes down to none other than Proctor and Lockdown Ludens. They took their time about it, but they finally grabbed that second attacking round. 7-5, and they have certainly secured their spot in the playoffs with style.
Yes, but if you're in the playoffs with them, if you're one of those teams that have also secured their position now, well, simply put, Jerry, you're going to be looking at this Luden side as not as strong as they looked out to be at the start. They, on their attack, allowed 4 or 5 rounds to go in the way of Chimp Hunters. A team that they dominated on their defense. They outperformed in almost every single way. Weren't able to make that stick on the attack. That's a big thing. That's what going to be what a lot of the teams are going to be looking forward in the playoffs. You talked about, well, this is a moment for Chimp Hunters to kind of get a bit more honor, and I think they've done that. They've had a really good performance in just bringing it back up, locking things down, finding impact kills, shutting down Proctor's impact, so he'd find a kill, but they wouldn't find anything because of it. As soon as Rafters, that player dies, well, you've immediately got Sandanos to stop them from capitalizing upon it, and then they can't push up Rafters. They stall out. They lose the round. Gym Bedroom, it was the place where they should have won. It was very, very close. I feel like it could have gone overtime, and I feel like Atlantic, he's going to be kicking himself. He knows if he didn't swing that, well, they wouldn't get so aggressive if you stayed alive.
And it's unfortunate for Atlantic, but I don't think he should be too hard on himself, right? Because at that point, they were just playing for glory, let's face it. They may not have worked that out, I don't know, but either way, it's it shouldn't hurt him too much. And I think that honestly, that when you look at that match and kind of we take a step back from this story of Lockdown Ludens having a lot of control, stepping it up, going 6-1, and then losing that ground and then eventually sealing it out. If you step back from that story and just see it's, you know, a 5-1 split followed by a 4-2 split, defensive sided, that's Clubhouse, right? And that's Siege. And maybe if it had been the other way around, we see Chimp Hunters, they get their 4-2 split and then Lockdown Ludens turn it around. But it was a game of two halves, essentially. Lockdown Ludens really did impressively well on their defense, and they just about had the edge on attack. In no small part due to Proctor, who by the end of the day went 19-4 with a 92% cost. Like, at least Chimp Hunters noticed what the win con was for Lockdown Ludens that game, because it basically was Proctor.
Yeah, they're definitely the impact player, but I do want to say, you know, Chimp Hunters, I'd say it wasn't exactly Clubhouse being defender-sided. I feel like it was just a shift. Their utility commitment, that's the word I'm looking for. Their game sense, it just kind of fell into place on the defense, so it makes sense why they take it to Clubhouse. They knew how to play a defense, they knew how to deal with it, but their attack was well, in those small parts, lacking, unfortunately. Their hopes of making the playoffs, they will be shut down, as are the Randy Ravens. And the 4 positions have been locked in completely. Lockdown Ludens, the Princesses, Triton, and I'm gonna need help with the last one. Imperium Mandem, all will be moving forward to the playoffs, and, well, it's gonna be a good playoff season. I can only say that.
It certainly is, and there's some really interesting stuff in store for you as well. So do keep an eye on the socials of BUAL. We've got, of course, our Twitter. That's probably the most direct place to find anything about BUAL at the moment. And yeah, there's going to be some interesting stuff announced on there, I imagine, within the next week or so. And of course, we do have our final play week next week. It is just for pride, but there's going to be some really good matchups next week as well. You get to see Randy Ravens versus Triton, which, despite being fairly meaningless, I bet that's going to be a fantastic game on the Tuesday. You've got things like Froggers versus Lockdown Ludens. Finally, the battle of, well, I did say amphibians earlier, because Lockdown Ludens, are they turtles? Are they tortoises? Who knows? But we get to see that, and yeah, there's Coconut Cracked versus the Minutemen. Just all sorts of really, really good games. So I'm looking forward to that next week, McCready.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. That's all from us. We're going to be chugging over to SI, as if I'm not mistaken, we'll get confirmation on that by the time that the delay is actually caught up. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a very nice evening. Congratulations, most importantly, to the Lockdown Ludens to secure their place, and commiserations to the Chimp Hunters. Princess is also able to do so with that forfeit, and, well, I'm going to forfeit myself to a bit of a drink and just enjoying watching the games tonight. Goodbye.